Welcome back. I still have here with me in the studio the former director of the Department of State Services, Mr. Mike Ejiofor. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Just before we went on break, you mentioned something very important. The fact that, for instance, there's no mention anymore of heads like Shekau and then the allegiance that they claim to have had to the ISIS. That leads me to ask this next question. Can the Boko Haram sect be defeated in Nigeria? Do we have such capabilities?
Why not? I'm very, very optimistic that we'll defeat Boko Haram. The way Boko Haram started is not the way they are now. We've made substantial progress. So whether we'll defeat it is not in doubt at all. But my worry is timeline, that will be defeated within so period, and so that's what I don't agree with. Because this is an unconventional war. It's an asymmetric war. You don't have known or defined enemies or leaders you can talk to, say, let us go and negotiate. It's not like the issue of the Nigerian Civil War, where you have a known leader, like Ojukwu who said, let us go to Ghana to negotiate, or let us go to wherever to negotiate.
But then it looks as if this is making projections that would help you move as fast as possible. Don't you see it that way?
I don't see it that way because apart from the first leader that was killed and Shekau took the mantle of leadership, he has not come out openly. It is only people who front to say we're in contact with these people who can negotiate and so on. And you don't rely on such go-between because they are not very credible. For few of them who are credible, you need to test their source, whether they actually have contact with the real people in question. And that is why the government has to be very careful in negotiating, because I'm not averse or opposed to negotiation, but you must negotiate with credible leaders. As long as we don't have credible leaders, I'm opposed to negotiation.
All right. We're also looking at the fact that Nigeria has not been getting a lot of cooperation from neighboring countries. One would wonder what could be responsible for this lack of support.
Well, when the war started, yes, we were not getting cooperation, especially from Cameroon and Chad and neighboring countries. But we agree that after a while, there was a turnaround on their part due to diplomatic shuttles by the heads of government. The former president, Goodluck Jonathan, took the initiative by talking to our neighboring countries on the need for them to cooperate with Nigeria. And immediately the present head of government, President Muhammad Buhari, you saw how he was touring the various regions, soliciting for support, not only from the sub-region, but from the international community. And I think we've made substantial progress in that area. America is now ready to sell arms to Nigeria, unlike what we used to do before, to go and buy through black market. You recall what happened in South Africa, and so on. So the Cameroonian government, it has now dawned on Cameroonian government too that it's not a Nigerian problem. It's a problem of the sub-region. I was laughing my head off about the weekend when they said that if they failed to get the issue resolved, they will resort to witchcraft in fighting insurgency in Cameroonian government. So I don't know how they intend to do that. But you know, with African beliefs, you can dare anything.
You just mentioned the fact that the president is seeking not only support regionally, but internationally. Yeah. That will be correct, and I would like to ask, how much impact would this support make in Nigeria? Do you think he can get enough internationally?
Yeah, a lot of international community donors are giving money to Nigeria to assist them in the fight against terrorism. But we cannot rely solely on donations or support from India without taking the initiative in our own front. And by that I mean, like I was reading in the papers, the Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs had a meeting with the Senate and the other day, and they expressed some restraints that they are yet to get funds for appropriated fund for the supplementary budget in 2015. And not also forget that the budget of 2016 is yet to be debated. These are issues that need to be reprioritized. We don't have to wait for all the budgets to pass through. The government should take the initiative now to ensure that the military is re-equipped, because as long immediately the previous arms are completely depleted, it takes time to restock. And that was going to create a problem for us. It will now give opportunity to the insurgents to re-strategize and regroup, and we'll start afresh again. Sorry. And one thing I have to know that this is a very good time for us to take the initiative against the insurgents, because this is dry season. If the rainy season steps in, you're still going to have the canopies, the shades of the trees, which will give them cover, and it becomes a more difficult fight. Now that the dry season everywhere is clear, it's good we take the initiative now to take on them and rout them out completely.
Now, you're talking about budgetary allocation. You mentioned that international agencies are giving money to Nigeria. Could you have any further detail on that?
Yeah, I think I was going through some of this. Some Britain, United States, and some are making donations in terms of even armament. United States government recently donated some equipment to assist the military. So I think Nigeria is getting support because of the present shuttle by Mr. President.
Well, why is it difficult to trace the persons sponsoring this group?
You see, that's the challenge. You know, initially it started with a political crisis when they talk about Boko Haram being sponsored by the state government as at then. They were being used. But it turned out to be the story of the Frankenstein monster. They can be out of control. The owners, the people who use them now lost control. And this might not be the initial intendment of the people who, but that is why it is difficult for you to say. It's like going to the market to throw a stone. You don't know who is going to be affected, whether it's your relation, your father, or your mother. So that's where we find ourselves. And I think the earlier we begin to see how this matter is resolved, because the matter in the Northeast is really, really, really challenging.
But then one would think that if there were people who started these groups by using them politically, and then have they stopped sponsoring them? Are there people who have taken over? Why is it difficult to trace the force behind them?
Well, I wouldn't want to join issues or mentioning names, but you also recall that initially, when they started, there was a government in power.
Okay.
There was a government in power that even gave them appointments up to a commissioner level for religious affairs and others. So I said I don't want to begin to mention names, but it's a public domain. So when this got out of control, the initial political ideology that came in, they lost control. They went into religious ideology, tried to Islamize Nigeria. And you know that is not possible. What do they want? One of them that you must Islamize Nigeria. Nigeria is a secular state. That is not possible, and it's not negotiable. So if that is the basis for negotiation, I won't be part of it. Nigeria, I'm sure, will not be part of it.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on Dateline Abuja.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your mails as always. Keep your views and comments coming using the address and Twitter handle on your screen. You can also let us know anything happening within your area, especially if you are in the nation's capital. Don't forget, you can view the program on youtube.com/channelsweb/videos. You may make your comments after viewing the videos. Always remember to include your name and where you're writing from. I am Omelogo Nadi. See you next week.